Oh god, oh man, let's continue. We have a poll to solve. We have to decide who's going to be the next CEO of Olimpo in Universe Amazon. In case you are new to the party. But, yeah, we have a long list. We have none of the above. And after a poll showing, yeah, we kind of got a tie. So, 15. So I'm going to flip a coin. And see what comes out of this. By that I mean I'm just going to make a arbitrary decision. And I'm just going to say we put 15% of our chips on it. Maybe I split that in half depending on what the number comes out to. This is just me taking a complete stab in the dark because we have the biggest poll we've had to this point. And it's dead heat. So, realistically, there's a 0% gain over the second place choice because the first and second place are dead tie. So, between Art and Chara, do we choose law or chaos? For shits and giggles, because I'm curious to see what Easy has to say, I'm going to pick Chara. Betting on Miss Tucker, I see. It's a nice idea, maybe, if somewhat infeasible. Still, I think it might be a better bet than most would think. And now, the amount you're betting. 198 chips. Holy shit. Means you can throw 30 chips into the pot. You know what? Why not? Alright. Well, let's see what the fates have in store, shall we? I'm probably going to throw that away, but why not? So, Vel's final chapter. Locke's final chapter is locked. Alright. Let us see what Eris is up to. Perhaps the most intriguing turn that his story path has taken is Eris entering reality. I moved uncomfortably in my chair. Never really felt comfortable sitting in public areas like this. That probably wasn't a good trait to have. Though perhaps it was understandable, considering everything. Still, well, she wasn't here yet. We have to kill a bit more time. I took out my phone. Was there anything interesting going on? Looked around the phone for a bit, and then... What's this? I was so taken aback I spoke up audibly. I think surprise was an understandable reaction given what I was looking at. The devil had finally decided to send me a message. Oh, how considerate of him. Originally I thought he might have died. Well, now I haven't thought of that. Well, now I hadn't thought of that. Still, I was dubious as to whether or not I'd get another email from him. Lo and behold, what had fallen into my lap? Well, well, well. Isn't this quite interesting? Might as well check. See what he has to say. I opened the email. Dear Olaf, apologies for the delay. Sad as it is to say, real-life events took priority for a time. I do not wish to divulge too much. Needless to say, past events have been trying. So that I have not had the time to check my computer for, frankly, anything. The website has been similarly unmaintained, which is a shame as so many suspicious activities have occurred in my absence. Further proof towards the god undocumented. Need to get on that post-haste, and I shall. First, I figured I owed you an email, if for no other reason than to let you know that I am alive and well. So then, now you know, I am fine. So I can continue aiding your investigation into Panthea. Hopefully in my absence you've continued to collect evidence, bringing us closer to the singular and undeniable truth. If you have, I'd be pleased to hear more about it. Yours, The devil. Read over the email a few more times with bemusement. Huh. Well, thank God the devil was still alive. That's a hell of a sentence in itself. What would I ever do if he wasn't okay? Still, the lines about him being busy with real life over the past bit felt weird to me. Is that what you're going with? Huh. I thought about why he would say that. Was that possibly true? What would he have to do that kept him busy over that period of time? I settled on that being a lie, though I couldn't quite place why it was being told. Anyways, I tried thinking up what I should respond with. Alright, this was probably the best way I could put this. Hey, devil! Glad to hear that you're well and alive. To be honest, I was getting a little worried. Sorry to hear about your life problems. It's a dangerous world out there. I'm sure you have your problems. Hopefully they're resolved at this point. Anyways, on to the matter at hand. I have actually come across some interesting information. Stuff I'd love to get your opinion on. I'm almost certain you'd have some good insight. Before we get to this, I'm sorry, I'd like to backtrack a bit. On my last message that you never really responded to, I had some questions. Specifically about that audio file you sent me. Like, how did you get that audio? Again, I understand if you don't want to give us specifics. Another question, do you have any idea who Marduk could be talking to? Would you know what they talked about before or after the clip you sent? After this clip, I think those questions are essential. If you could answer that, I think we'd be a lot further to solving the mysteries of Panthea and reaching the truth. Thank you, Olaf. And like that, the matter was settled. Well, not settled, but at least I refused to move away from the sticking point. The devil didn't forget these questions on a whim. He intentionally tried to move past them. Sneaky bugger. He didn't want to answer them for some reason. Of course he didn't want to. Still, I wasn't letting him get around that so easily. If he wanted to keep this conversation going, he'd have to address the main issue. The elephant in the room. I had a feeling he'd continue to evade this main point. But who knows, maybe I'd get lucky. After sending that email, I turned my attention to Kamappa. Ah yes, back to some mindless Reddit scrolling. And then... hello? Hey, Laura! I looked up. Oh. Looks like she was here. Laura, right? Yes, that's right. And you're... Eris? That's my name. Don't wear it out. Alright, cool. Laura paused awkwardly, looking at me. What? Nothing, just, I feel like I know you. You most certainly don't. Are you sure? Because I swear I recognize you. Ah, that... Yeah, that makes sense. You're Duat affiliated, right? A little hesitantly, Laura nodded. Okay then. You're probably recognizing my sister then. She's kind of a big shot detective or whatever. Since you're, criminal and everything, you've probably been briefed on her or something. No, I don't think it's that. Oh? Yes, I do think it's that. I mean, you sure as shit haven't seen me. I've been holed up in here for 5 ever. Not many opportunities for that. I don't go out much. I live on Reddit. I guess you're right? Shit, I swear I'm remembering something. Why am I blanking on this? Don't you have bigger things to worry about? You're right. You're definitely right. So, how do you know, Laura trailed off. She didn't want to say the name here. Fair enough. I just shrugged. I don't really. Huh? Don't really know them that well. What? almost immediately he gave me a note with your email. I mean, I'm online friends with him. Maybe friends is a strong term. I'd classify it more as acquaintances. Or maybe I'm just cold. My point is, I'd never even met them IRL. So see my surprise when I ended up getting your email. I mean, this whole thing seems massively over my head, to be quite honest. But, you know, I'm selfish. And greedy. And your situation seemed manageable. So I said yes. Still, though, for me to be the first person for them to recommend, this must be a pretty desperate situation. That or they really don't have that many friends. Probably a mix of the two, if I had to guess. Fair enough. Anyways, as luck would have it, I used to be a lawyer, which means I should be able to help out somewhat. Again, they shouldn't have known that, so it's quite weird that I was the person recommended, but let's not dwell on that. Well, that's a small relief. You look super reliable, so I'm really happy to have you on my side. Oh, thanks, I guess. What are you getting into, Laura? Still. With your help, I can't help but feel nervous. The situation that I'm in, it's really rough. I mean, you're just a normal citizen? We can go with that. Kind of feel bad about getting you involved, because this is dangerous and tricky. You become a target on all sides. I mean, you used to be a lawyer. That's really cool. Probably could be useful. But I don't think that's going to be enough in this case. Seriously? Were you always this much of a pessimist? Huh? Dangerous situation, my ass. This is the epitome of looking a gift horse in the mouth. The only reason people have turned on you is because this city is full of selfish assholes only out for themselves. That's a good thing. Right now, an extremely useful asset has fallen into your lap. You can treat it like a burden if you want. That's the dumb outlook. God, you were lucky that you were connected to me, huh? Huh? Look, Laura, we're about to turn that burden of yours into a huge asset. It should solve most of your problems. I don't know what we're talking about here. We just have to be smart. Well, I have to be smart. I'm smart. Mm-hmm. Why are you saying it like that? Look, when make a claim, it needs to be backed with evidence. Right now, I've yet to see that evidence. You know, I've just been nice to you so far. Yeah, don't bother with that. I think that sort of ass kissing wholly unnecessary. Okay, then. You're kind of a bitch, you know? Oh, I'm aware. I'm the bitch you have to rely on right now, right? Cool. Jeez. How did I get to this point? Please tell me. I sure as hell don't know. I just have a vested interest in making sure you live to be a thorn in shittier people's sides another day. Right. Right. Laura looked down. I could tell that she was having second thoughts about this whole endeavor. I could hardly blame her. I mean, for her to trust me with no context like this? Good for me, I guess. It really signaled how lost she was. No, not lost. That didn't feel right. Rather, shaken up. That might be a more accurate descriptor. Made a bit more sense, too. But aside, the end result was the same. Laura here wasn't on her top game. Well, she wouldn't need to be for this next bit. I planned to do most of the talking. Still, I thought it probably worthwhile to boost her spirits, at least somewhat. I didn't want her making a fuss of things and blowing it when it counts. Hey, listen. I know you're going through some shit. A lot of people in this city are. I'm gonna need your eyes on the prize. What I've heard, you're a pretty strong individual, yeah? I mean, it's that strength that's landed you here. That's one way to view it, sure. Good. Use that. Laura nodded. I could tell she still wasn't fully in. Oh well, I tried. Look, Laura. I know this must be weird for you. From your perspective, you have absolutely no incentive to trust me. However, you more than anybody should recognize this is a tenuous situation. We need things to go out exactly right if we want to make out ahead. I've already gotten things lined up. I can do most of the work. Given the tight schedule I've set up for us, I don't think I'm going to have time to fully explain the plan to you. What? I I know, not ideal. Lara, you're just gonna have to trust me. Can you do that? Can you put your faith in this complete stranger? Trust that I actually thought things through and did my homework? This is stupid. This is so damn stupid. But fine. As you've already so delicately put it, I'm kinda out of options. Inserting, video clip of Alex Yick walking into the scene and screaming, "So somebody tell me what's going on!" So fine. That's the spirit. Is it? It's a spirit. It's good enough. I operate in good enough. That's not making me feel better about this arrangement. Look, just follow my lead. Trust me. You'll be leaving me today a happy woman. Probably. Hopefully. To be honest, I'm kind of playing your hand for you with this arrangement, which is sort of lame on my part. But trust me that this is, in my opinion, absolutely the best move you could make. Yeah, whatever. Look, I know you said we were on a tight schedule, but it seems to me if you can make these sorts of metaphors, you can give me the abbreviated version of what I'm about to walk into. That fair? It is. That is extremely fair. So, the long and short of it. Let's see. How to explain it. Do you know what your biggest problem is right now? This does not seem like the fastest way to explain your problem. Right now, you've been put in the crosshairs of a lot of people. That's because of the will stipulation. What? I'm aware. If that's what's drawing a target toward you, then you simply need to rid yourself of said stipulations. Honestly, if you just wanted to reset the situation, that'd be incredibly easy. That's a waste, and I'm greedy. Instead, we need to... I paused. Interrupted by the man who had just entered the room. I don't say this about a lot of people, but this guy really did command attention. Not just his status. He had the personality for it, much as I hated to admit it. Anyways, his entrance meant that we were now in the plan. Hi, Art. Walking into the Olympia building's first floor waiting room was one Art Deismas, dressed in his business best. To his side, he carried a nondescript briefcase. He tried his best to put on a neutral face, but his eyes belied a simmering anger. Oh no. Okay, I'm starting to piece together what might be going on here. Had a little bit of confusion and slight frustration, but I'm starting to understand here. If I had to take a guess, I would say that Odin is dead. And he somehow had some kind of will stipulation involving Lara. Which means that the bet we just made at the start of this video might be already doomed, because Odin might be dead, and he might have put something in his will that would attempt to make Lara the next CEO of Olympia. Which in this case may have been understandable. As far as I understood it, things had not been working out well for Art as of late. Luckily, I was here to remedy that. As if. My oh my. Lucky us. We seem to be graced with the presence of Art Deismas right before our very eyes. Oh, please. There's no need for any of that. Art took a seat on the other side of the room. You must be Eris Smith, correct? Wow, and you even know my name. I'm so honored. If I understand it, this isn't your first time sitting in this room. Ah. Guilty as charged. I know nothing was proved. However, I can't help but feel a bit of indignation towards you. Oh, Art gonna throw a strop? That might be fair. But be clear, anything I may or may not have done was done completely impersonally. Honestly, I have far more resentment toward my Judas sister for pointing your direction towards my presence here than I do towards you. Tch. For the record, your sister is the only reason I'm entertaining this little meeting. I would hold off on disparaging her were I you. Oh wow, someone actually defending Laverna. That's a real first. Were you charmed by her unstable charms? Got a thing for lunatics? Okay, this is getting puerile. Is this how the whole meeting will go? Yes. Oh, come off it, Art. I'm just trying to break the ice. You are more like your sister than you realize, Eris. Than you're willing to admit, Eris. I wanted to know how deep the stick in your ass was plugged. Oh, you're all... I think you're my favorite Smith sister, Eris. I want to know how deep the stick in your ass is plunged. Now I know. And you? You must be Laura, correct? That's right. Nice to speak with you. For the, first time. Subtle. You know, your appearance totally matches your voice. Surprisingly, I can say the same to you. Oh, you charmer. Ugh. Let's just get started. Let's. I'd quite prefer not to have a known Duat member seat in my building. Tarnishes the reputation. Are you serious? We didn't have to meet here, you know. I didn't pick the meeting spot. I was just trying to be cordial. Come to you. We could have met in my office. No, I'd rather this be done in public. Don't want a Duat scene. You saying you're better than us? Yes. Why you? Well, that went south pretty quick. Must have some guts acting so above it all, given what you tried to pull earlier today. I did nothing. And that was simply business. As a gang member, I would have thought you'd understand that. Business? Something we should be talking about. Did nothing? That how you see that? Naturally. Wow. You know, I've met a lot of scumbags. I'm friends with a lot of them. I'm actually thinking you're not as much of a sinner as any Duat member? That's a level of self-delusion that's even new to me. Bold words for a self-obsessed tramp. Excuse me? What, are you surprised that I would have objections to you seducing my father? Whoa. If we're talking about lows, that must be the record setter. Seduce? What the fuck are you talking about, you creep? Really trying to deny it. Remember who you're talking to. Oh, I'm keenly aware. I'm keenly aware about the weeks you spent living with Odin alone in his mansion. This was a novel money-making scheme, I must admit. Never thought Odin, of all people, would fall for it. That's not... You've totally misread the situation. It wasn't like that at all. Oh, really? You mean for me to believe that my father decided to name you his chief inheritor because, what, you particularly impressed him? You think I know what goes on in that crazy fuck's head? And also, do you even know your own dad? Of fucking course he'd throw his kids to the curb if he thought I was more worthy. Exactly. You'd have to think a tactless low-life thug Duat was somehow more worthy than his eldest son who's followed in his footsteps perfectly. Wow, look at the ego on this guy. Small dick energy. It's not a matter of ego. Odin looks down on the Duats. He'd never accept you. Laura had nothing to say about this. Probably because she agreed with Art's assessment. Now felt like a good enough time to speak up. I'm just going to interject for a second. Maybe Odin's reasoning for this whole thing is weird. Surprise, surprise, the man's unpredictable. Because you couldn't accept his explanation, Art, you decided for the reason to be that Laura slept with a senior citizen? That kind of feels like a leap on your part. More to the point, regardless of what is actually happening, calling Laura a tramp like that during a business deal? I mean, talking about tactless. Just saying this ain't a good look for you. Be that gentlemanly or whatever. Being honest, I expected to get some blowback for this. Or to try and suppress some rage. And true, I spotted an initial flash of annoyance. After that annoyance, Art's face took on a more contemplative expression. And then after another moment I saw... Maybe I was getting this mixed up, but that seemed to be embarrassment. Huh. Art actually seemed ashamed with his behavior. Didn't expect that to actually work. Well, success! You are entirely correct, Miss Smith. Apologies, Laura. Your behavior just now was entirely unacceptable. You must forgive me. These past few days have been trying, as you well know. I have accumulated a healthy amount of stress. I fear that, combined with my anger at Odin, culminated in the outburst you saw. Still, such language toward a lady is completely improper. So, sorry. Laura seemed equally surprised at this response from Art. Suddenly, I elbowed her in the side. Genuine or not, it'd be best if Laura just apologized now. It would smooth things over quite nicely for the meeting. Luckily, Laura seemed to catch my drift. I get it. I mean, I also don't know what Odin was thinking. I mean... Pretty much spent your whole life following Odin, trying to get him to acknowledge you as his successor, right? So to hear him say that he was willing his Olympos stock to me in the case of his death. Oh, okay. That must have come across as a total slap in the face. Art didn't say anything, but once again his expression wasn't as hidden as he probably wished it to be. Yeah, that probably would be pretty rage-inducing. So I'm fine to just move on to what we're here to discuss. Oh. Once again, we're one big happy family. Eris, were you not the one pushing for us to focus on business? It seems you are now the impediment of that front. Yeah, don't get your panties in a bunch. I got the papers right here. I reached down in my bag and rifled through some papers. Looked carefully, making sure I took out the right sheet. What are you planning? Finally, I placed it down on the waiting room table in front of Art. Drafting this up did not make me miss the law profession, I can tell you that. Contract work is a total snooze fest. Although, you know, I do like debating. It may be a waste to let the degree become meaningless. Maybe I should try transitioning to a trial lawyer. Amused to myself, Art began reading over the papers with a discerning eye. Given the nature of this meeting, Art had chosen not to bring any personal lawyers. Thank Christ. What he also was far too savvy to fall for some trick like hiding a clause in the litany of legalese. To save us both time, I made the arrangement as brief as I could make it. Anyways, this is just the standard stuff. Transferring the stock to you, etc. It is? Art looked up from the paper. It's just me. Does it sound like you didn't actually know what these papers did, Laura? What? No, I totally read over the papers myself. That was quick. Looks like Laura really did decide to put her fate in my hands. Art, stay on target. Laura's well aware of the arrangement. The question is, do you understand it? It's not an awful lot to understand. If I sign this, upon Odin's death, any shares in Limpo owned by Odin willed to Laura will automatically be transferred under my control. In exchange, I pay her the agreed amount. Exactly. And the contract in your hand specifies just that. That gave me pause. It felt like that represented not just a pause as Art read the contract, but also a pause as to whether to take the deal. Time to push. Say, Art. If I'm right, you have a 30% stake in Olimpo, right? Art raised an eyebrow at this. You know this. Hey, you two aren't the only people who know things. My point is, right now you have a plurality stake in the limbo. But not a majority. That means your position as CEO is, in theory, at risk. If you combine Odin's 25% with your 30%, I'm sure a talented businessman like you can do the math. Yes, I am well aware of these factors. Still, that is only true when Odin passes away. He's not dead yet. He's old, but he's fierce. Who knows when his time may come? Yeah, who knows? Old man like that, an accident could happen any day now. Art was actually taken aback. Are you implying? Hey, it's a day's way to take what you're owed, no matter who gets in the way. I'm sure Odin would respect you for taking control in the most effective way. Time to give a final push. And you know this deal isn't exclusive. I'm sure your brother would be able to put a 25% share in the limbo to good use, don't you think? You should be around here somewhere, right? Okay. Point abundantly made. There's no deliberation to be made. This deal is the only option, the best option for both Laura and I. And the agreed upon price, a small one to pay for what this grants me. Art nodded. Then he took out a pen from his pocket, leaned down without a moment's hesitation, signed the contract. Awesome. Now, Laura, you just have to sign and we can be settled. Laura gave me a side-eye. The first time since Art walked in, I could sense that feeling again of her, unsure of whether to trust me. However, it only lasted a moment. Pass me your pen, if you would, Art. Art complied, and Laura signed on her side. And there we go. Deal made. Contract formed. Indeed. Art picked up the signed deed, clearly treasuring it quite a good deal. Then if there's nothing else to discuss, I will write you a check, and I can be on my way. Uh-huh. Excuse me? Oh, Excuse me? Not credit. Cash. Cash. You're serious? For a deal like this, you expect me to give out that amount of cash? If at all possible, that'd be nice. As much as you'd like to pretend otherwise, I'm sure that office of yours upstairs easily has that much tucked away somewhere. Just in case Big Brother decides to take just a little bit of a closer look at that accounts of yours. How clever. Mind going up there and fetching that cash for us, Art? I'd prefer not to. Art reached down and lifted the suitcase. Then he handed it out to me. Here, the agreed upon amount. Well, alright then, Art. I opened up the suitcase as Art got to his feet. Sure enough, there was a buttload of cash in there. Make sure he's not pulling a lock on us. Holy shit. I thumbed through it quickly, making sure it was all legit. Sure enough, this was it. This was all real. The agreed amount. I closed the suitcase and handed it to Laura. That'll work. I thought so. Art began to make his way out of the room. Before he left, however, I had one last question for him. Hey, if you brought this down here, why'd you try and pay with a check? Miss Smith. Laura. This has been a pleasure. Just like that, Art Deismas left the waiting room, a suitcase loaded with cash pour. Whoa. Did that really? I checked the time. Yeah, I think that went pretty well. I'm glad we were able to turn that around so quickly. Honestly, I thought I cut it too close when I was setting these up. Wait, setting what up? It's fine. We finished in time. In time for what? As if on cue, the door opened right up once more. Another Deismas brother entered the fray. Entering the waiting room was Polly Deismas, holding a satchel bag. Unlike Art, Polly looked genuinely relaxed. He walked over and sat right down next to Laura and I. Polly? What an honor to have a Deismas brother in our presence. Oh, stop. It's not an honor to have me around. Now you bring in Art, maybe. But me? Nah, I'm not an honor. That seems overly harsh. You're as much of a member of the Panthea's elite as your brother. That just shows you how little you know about Panthea's elite. Polly and I seem to be getting along swimmingly. However, I couldn't help but be aware of the very nervous set of eyes looking at me from the side. Sure enough, Laura was very anxious with this turn of events. Which, fair enough. She wasn't given any advance notice. My fault there. I told her to just go along with it. Trust that I knew what I was doing. That I was getting her the best deal. Well, me the best deal. It'd benefit us both when you think about it. I just gave her a subtle nod and a reassuring look. This only seemed to make Laura more confused. Ah well. She'd have to just keep up. So you're Eris Smith, right? Oh, how'd you guess? And you're the spitting image of your sister. Like, you look identical. You're acquainted? Yeah, actually, just a bit. I had a talk with her not long ago at a crime scene thingy. Oh. Was she annoying? Laverna? No, don't really think so. She was actually pretty cool about things. Laverna? Cool? Are you sure it was my sister that we're talking about? I'm sensing a bit of a sibling rivalry. You could say. Ah. Well, I hope you're able to patch it up. I understand if differences are, well, irreconcilable. Did she try to kill you? I mean, I don't think our situation is anything like yours, if that's the parallel you're drawing. Well, that's good. Polly turned his attention to Laura. And you. You must be the lovely Laura. Guilty. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Deismas. Really, it's exciting for me. Much the same. Man, I gotta know, what'd you do to get Pops to actually formally respect you like that? Honestly? I'm not really sure. Yeah, well, that makes two of us. I don't know how many years of my life I tried to get him to acknowledge me the way he did you. Oh, don't take that as me slighting you, or anything. As flawed as that old bastard was, he tended to be pretty sharp. So if he decided to will you his shares, you must be pretty cool. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. But to be honest, I never really wanted those shares. Which is why what we're doing here today is such a great idea. Really, it's a situation everybody wins in. Laura here gets money. Who doesn't like money? No one. Right. And you, Polly, you get 25% of Olimpo's shares. He does? He does. I mean, it's a bit trickier than that. You know, technically, he will be transferred the shares that are willed to you whenever Odin kicks the bucket. How does this get us out of hot water here? I'm very curious, but you can't imagine Odin to have that many years left in him. I wouldn't count him out. That man has energy. Energy. Energy does little in the face of disease. Is that right? Let's say it is. Polly, I know you've been dissatisfied with Art's rule of Olimpo. You're looking for an in. Until now, Art has appeared, to put it mildly, unassailable. That was because he had Odin in his back pocket. Odin's shares combined with Art kept him completely untouchable. But this is your one opportunity. Make this agreement, and combining what you stand to gain with the shares you already own, you'll be the chief shareholder. You will effectively own Olimpo. I know funds on your end are tight. Unlike Odin and Art, you don't have unlimited funds. If there's ever a time to spend, now's the time. In terms of investment, this is a surefire deal that will pay out tens of times in the long run. Tens of times. You would be, to put it bluntly, a massive idiot to walk away right now. Hey, you can save the pitching. I'm already fully on board. Gotta admit, the asking price for those shares is a little steep for my current budget. As you said, it's more than worth it. Even putting profit aside, this is my one chance to put a stop to Art. He needs to be stopped. In his blind pursuit of Odin, he's become like our dad. That's not somebody you want to become like. Really, in a way, I'm doing this for his own good. Yeah, I don't really care about any of that. The question is, you ready to make the deal? Polly nodded. I already came prepared. Got my payment right here. Polly slapped the bag he held. Ready to give it to you as soon as we make the deal. Well then, let's make this deal and get paid. Eris? Are you sure? Oh, come on, Laura. This is enough. Don't try to fleece the poor man for more money. Jeez, lady, you really went up the price. What? No. With killer instincts like that, I can see why Odin took a liking to you. As this exchange played out, I reached into my bag once more and pulled out a near-identical contract. Presented it to Polly, who quickly skimmed it. Okay, alright, that all seems cool. I signed at the bottom? Yeah. Although, does this get us out of hot water by, putting them both openly at war with each other? In that, Art signed the contract and paid for the shares. But Polly turns up with an identical one, so clearly Polly has forged his. But Polly paid for his shares. So Art forged his, so... Whoever wins, we all lose. Or perhaps this is a galaxy-brained method to torpedo them both. You have a pen I can borrow? Sure, give me a second. Reached out into the side pocket of my bag and fished out an older pen. I handed it to Polly, who swiftly used it to sign his name into the relevant space on the contract. Then he held it out to Laura. Here, you can use this to sign your part. Laura gave her a look. Oakley, I said nothing. I hope my intent with the look spoke volumes. Remember what I asked. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. Laura continued to hesitate. Then her face steeled and she reached out to grab the pen. She took a deep breath and signed her name next to Polly's at the bottom of the contract. And voila, a binding contract is made. Congratulations, everybody, litigation is passed. Woo! Hooray! Right then, Polly, make sure you take that contract, keep it safe. It acts as the actual proof of the agreement. Without it, the deal is sort of null and void. I know. I understand contracts and stuff. To say it, your brother seemed like the type to not hold his punches. If he learns of this arrangement, he might try to steal it from you. So lock the contract up safe. Gotcha. Hey, shouldn't Laura have a copy of this too or something? I mean, that's standard protocol, but unnecessary. And we already left standard protocol a few steps back. Generally, contracts like this aren't just assembled by non-practicing lawyers and signed in a matter of minutes. Well, it's legit, yeah? Oh, most definitely. People joke about the law being arcane and unfair and overly specific, but that usually refers to grand contractual law. The type of stuff that affects thousands of people. Personal contracts, the rules are a lot looser, and intent matters a whole lot more. Honestly, the sheet I drew up there was a bit more than was necessary. So long as there's some form of proof that there was an offer, an acceptance, a consideration, a mutuality of obligation, and that both parties were both competent and capable of entering into the agreement, it'll hold up. Huh. The more you learn. Now I give you the money. That would be preferable, yes? Okay, here you go. Polly leaned over and handed me the bag. I, in turn, opened it and briefly checked it. At an eyeball's glance, it seemed more or less the amount agreed upon. I continued to pass the bag to Laura, who was still visibly uneasy. Great. Pleasure doing business with you. I'd meet you. Polly stood up, content with the interaction. However, I decided to throw something to him before he left. You know. Like you said, you never know when Odin will actually pass away. Yeah, you know, it's hard to tell. In the meantime, you still won't have any way to stop Art. Put another way, Art remains in control so long as Odin stays alive. Yeah, and? I just shrugged. Just something to consider. If you really do want to save Art or whatever. Oh, she was really setting out to torpedo this family. Polly's face suddenly became a lot more conflicted. It wasn't actually dumb. He caught on to the bait rather immediately, and he considered it. Without saying anything else, Polly just continued to leave the waiting room. Finally, Laura and I were left alone in the room. For a moment or two there was just silence. We were the only ones left in the waiting room. Our business done. And then, after a brief calm, Laura exploded. What the hell was that? That was me getting you off the hook. With, I might add, a sweet amount of cash. Off the hook? Off the hook? You absolute moron! You blithering idiot! How dumb can you get? Okay, hurtful. Do you not get what you just did? I am so screwed. I am on the hook with 2 separate contracts consigning me to do 2 completely opposite things. Whenever Odin dies, which now just seems a lot more likely since you just provoked both his sons into killing him. Yes, I noticed that. Actually, what the fuck? I owe 2 separate people 25% stake in a limbo. I won't be able to pay up. I go to jail for at least a decade. Hey, calm down. Relax. This is a relaxing situation. It is? I'm sure as hell not relaxing. Yeah, and see, that's a problem. You said to trust me, didn't I? You did? For some stupid reason I believed you. Exactly. You trusted me. Now give me a moment and I'll explain exactly why that was the right decision for you. But first, why don't you just take a breath? Good. Now let's review some facts. Right now, you and Art and Polly and quite a lot of people are laboring under the assumption that Odin decided to write in his will that you would inherit all his stock in Olympos company upon his death. Apparently, this is based on some loose description of you proving your worth to him. That, in combination with his sons disappointing him, led him to this decision. Now, I ask you, does this make any sense? Any sense? It makes some amount of sense. Okay, bad example, this isn't flat on its face lunacy. It is in the slightest way plausible. Rephrase, is the situation probable? No. Exactly, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You understood this. Art understood this. Polly understood this. And if you actually thought about what that meant. As you pointed out, Odin simply doesn't respect the duots. Might be disappointed in his sons, but he also absolutely views them as his legacy. Everything points toward that. I hate to say it, but I don't think he ever actually considered you his worthy successor. At least he wouldn't spring this on you without meeting with you. Okay, actually, maybe he'd do that. But still, this stinks to high heaven. So, when I heard this story from the person who sent you my way, I decided to actually do a bit of research on my own. Now, normally I like internet research, but I'm adaptable. Another online friend who is handsy, good with getting into places. To make a long story short, I paid them to give Odin's mansion a little private visit, to see if they could actually find the deadly will. And surprise, surprise, my friend did find the will. Turns out no additions or alterations had been made. You mean... That's right. You, Lara, are willed nothing. Which means those contracts that Polly and Art just signed, they're worth nothing. But wait, that's exactly what I intended. Remember, you weren't signing away 25% stock at Olimpo. You were signing away whatever you were willed whenever Odin died. If you were willed nothing, you owe nothing to either. They are not going to be happy, but Rowan Large took in this information. But wait, no, that can't be right. Odin told Art and Polly about my inheritance. There's a video, I saw it. Odin was lying. The video must have been a fabrication. Why? Who's to say? Maybe he did feel disappointed in his sons. Maybe he thought this would light a fire under their asses. Honestly, trying to read that man's mind is a complete waste of time. Hold on, though. Doing this puts a target on my head. I could have been killed. I almost was. Yeah. It's messed up. Odin's cruel. I don't think he'd do that to me. Odin would want to get me hurt. That is, if this really was Odin's idea in the first place. I shrugged my shoulders. I don't know what to say, Lara. Other than you may be giving Odin's morality a little too much credit. Lara didn't have a good response to that. There wasn't one, frankly. So then, what will happen when Odin does die? The shares will be distributed as initially stipulated. Art will get 20%, Polly 5%. Can't imagine either will be happy with you. But Art will still likely be in control, so he'll be manageable. And Polly will be pissed, but he presents no real threat. Especially when you consider that you'll probably be a major duat hotshot. I mean, Lara, look at what you're holding on to. Art and Polly broke major bank trying to get that stock. Turn that cash into your little gang, I have to imagine Marduk's gonna look pretty favorably on that. And if I was a gang leader, if somebody brought back a payday like that, that'd be an instant promotion in my eyes. use that money. It should buy you quite a bit of leeway. Laura just considered this for a moment. Then she nodded. She understood what I was trying to make her see. And actually, she was in an incredibly lucky position. Wow. Thank you, Eris. Really. I mean, you didn't know me before today. But you really gave it your all. And to put it frankly, you saved me. That really means a lot. Yes, well, as much as I'd like to say it, I did it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm not exactly that much of a saint. I'm taking a cut of your money. Oh? 10%. What? 10%. 10% of the cash I just made you. I want it. That seems entirely fair. Oh, right. Sure. Pay you for your time. I mean, you're right, that does seem kind of fair. Great. You could load it in this bag. For a third time, I opened the bag I'd brought. This time, however, instead of taking things out, things were put in it. Laura and I took a bit of time to count and deposit 10% of the day's profit into the bag. After a bit, I zipped it back up. There. So you see, I'm not some selfless angel. Just like anyone else in this city, I was just out for myself. I get it now. Still, thank you. You're welcome. Alright, well, it feels weird just leaving like this, but I guess this is goodbye. Feels weird, huh? Lucky me. It's nice for a departure to be weird. Yeah, well... Huh? Laura stopped in her tracks. She then looked me over one more time. You... Why? Why? It doesn't matter. Thank you. Huh? I hope you succeed in whatever you need to. Those surprisingly solemn words, Laura walked away. Laura knows Eris in some way. Finally, it was just me in the waiting room. Now that I was alone, I just took the opportunity to collapse in my chair. Then I began stretching out my limbs. Jeez. It was exhausting. My work was far from over. Anyways, I wished the best for Laura. I really did. I mean, she'd need it. After all. A friend breaking into Odin's mansion. Seriously? She bought that. What desperation makes you eager to believe in escape her? What? Still, she should have thought a bit harder about that. The timeline of how things played out. How unreasonable my story was. Truth is, I have no idea what Odin's will said. It's not like it was a total lie. Oh, wow. I did have a decent feeling that he was just bluffing. But again, it was Odin. He might very well go for it. Either way, it wasn't my problem. I had gotten what I wanted. Money. Both Art and Polly had been separated from a great amount of money. Money was going right into the Duat's unreliable hands. Using that leverage, Laura would now likely push for Duat leadership. Which of course would cause disruptions and conflict. Perhaps more interestingly, I had aimed Art and Polly's targets toward their own father. A move I could only expect Odin entirely counted on. Thought back to my aimless days of just searching the web for random shit. In retrospect, that really felt like I was just meandering, directionless. It wasn't productive. Comparatively, now that I moved with purpose, with intent, it was far more fulfilling. I thought I pulled out my laptop and checked my email. Surprise, surprise, the devil had responded. Responded in a completely encrypted message. I guess solving that little audio file, the puzzle of his, just made him more willing to just encrypt shit he didn't want people peering eyes to looking at. Fine. I'd make quick work of it. Okay. You should probably, also know that this hacking puzzle has red tiles. Last color variant, I promise. Yellow, red, blue, that's it. Anyways, red tiles, explanation, right. There's gonna be some red tiles with numbers on them, and some without numbers on them. Red tile with a number on it functions just like any other tile with a number on it. However, a red tile without a number on it must be a live tile within the numbered region of a numbered red tile. Basically, unnumbered red tiles must live inside the regions of numbered red tiles. Pretty simple, trust me. Oh boy. Okay. That's a hell of a time to throw this at us an hour in. But I think we got this, so... Red tile is numbered. We make a segment that has to include an unnumbered red tile. Everything else seems to line up accordingly. This one was not that bad, actually. I suppose it's just introducing that mechanic, so... Oh, thank God. Overkill, thy name is Devil. Well then... Why don't we see what our good friend went through the trouble of encoding? Dear Olaf, those are all good questions. Important questions. Unfortunately, to answer them, I'd have to fully tip my hand. To explain them, I'd have to give away parts of myself that are pretty crucial. It's more revealing about myself than I feel comfortable with. Normally, under no circumstances would I speak about it. However, I can't help but feel like I'm running out of time in a way. Panthea is getting worse. Every day I feel like it. After so many years, I've gotten almost nowhere. I need to make a change. And Olaf, I believe you may be that change. Partnering with a bona fide detective feels like the best chance I could get. So then, I'm willing to divulge everything. I mean, everything. However, I have one reservation. That's this email thread. I know this sounds overly conspiratorial. Nothing online is truly safe. I get the feeling you understand what I mean when I say that. I'm going to encode this message just in case, but even then, that's no guarantee of anything. Maybe this is a little much. I just don't want to leave things up to chance. But then, is there any chance you'd be willing to meet up in person? Your friend, the devil. Oh. Felt a smirk cross my face. I couldn't help it. I tried, but the smirk appeared nonetheless. This was it, huh? This is what it came to. This was how we were doing things. All right. Okay. Could roll with this. Could more than roll with this. I wasn't quite sure what he was thinking, what he was planning, but having the devil come out in person. I think I had been waiting for that for quite a bit of time. Well then, there was really only one way I was ever going to respond to that email. Meet up these nuts, Lamau. Devil. Let's choose a time and place. Got a gold key. Ah, the old hustle. A timeless classic. I got to hand it to Eris. They really played that situation with a precise hand. That was quite nice. Art, Polly, Odin, Lara. She had all of them all dancing to her tune. Didn't think she had it in her. I'm impressed. It's pretty clear that she resolved the situation by getting everybody to think what she wanted. Now what exactly she wanted people to think, and why remains ambiguous at this point, but I'm sure we'll see the full picture before long. Hopefully. The whole confusion that I was feeling at the start of this really came together nicely and explained itself well, so well done. Speaking of motivation, what do you think of that Odin, huh? This whole will thing, it's certainly interesting. Odin isn't a man to do things lightly. At the same time, the old fool is something of a slave to his own whims. Perhaps it was a rogue impulse. Perhaps. Oddly enough, it seems as though Eris didn't actually know whether or not the will was real. So, I don't know if I'm sending you to the gallows or not, Laura. Have fun, girl. I doubt she cared either. So we're left with something of a question mark on that end. Did the great Odin Deismas really entrust his fortunes to a common criminal? Was it all a ploy of some type? That answer is somewhat lost to the shadows. That's why we're going to bet on it. What do you think? Does it will exist, or not? The video exists, from what I'm understanding. Laura has seen the video, the Deismas have seen the video. Well, it doesn't exist. You doubt its existence, huh? No, I said the answer is lost to the shadows. That's not entirely true. I know the truth. So then, are you willing to bet on your guess? No. Oh, well, okay then. Guess we're done here? Alright. I can live with that. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. Main menu. So, you're done. Guess we go check on Mercury. Mercury and Laura. This... Piecing together Laura's timeline is interesting. Because this seems to be... This scene in Eris's route seems to take place after the scene in Thane's route. Where, Yi and Thane and Laura kill, Secretary Ganny. This whole thing, it's still unclear, but it has, Laura and Mercury versus Thane. And now, Mercury Lara and Mercury versus Odin. I have no clue how that's going to turn out. This is after Thane has been replaced, and they're going back to normal. I believe it was implied that Lara and Thane have had something going on in this. It's also implied that this is not the same Thane that has been doing things with Yi on the Manjet on their own, trying to take control of the Duats. So I think it's safe to say that Mercury's route still takes place fully before Thane's route. Which means that this part of Eris's route takes place after Thane's route to some degree, purely because of that conversation over the phone that Yi and by proxy Lara had with Art in his quest to kill Locke. On behalf of Governor Aisha? Like their mutual arrangement is Governor Aisha utilizing Art's ties to the Duats to kill Locke. Art utilizing Governor Aisha's personal assassin to kill Polly. That's their mutually beneficial arrangement they have going on. So this arrangement, whatever the hell happened with Odin's will, which maybe we learn about in the end of Mercury's path. Oh god, there's still a lot going. That throws a wrench into things that we haven't seen happen yet. Eris, once again, best girl. I gotta say. Very much so. There's also the dynamic of Lara quite clearly recognized Eris, but from what? How fucking bizarre would it be if Eris was Thane somehow? Don't know how that would work. That leaves a big gap of time here where shit goes off the hizzy. But that is entirely based off of the first episode of New Thane's Path, where Thane does a bit of hacking. That's like, I think, the only instance of hacking that did not occur on Eris's route. How whack would that be? And here I'm thinking that Mercury was Thane somehow. And that somehow, again, Locke is involved in Mercury's path just because Odin clearly recognizes Locke. Well, clearly recognizes Mercury in some way, but does not admit it. In front of Lara. Thane's route starts off with someone burying old Thane and taking over for Thane. So, how fucking ironic would that be if, fucking Mercury and Lara successfully ran from Thane and wound up at Odin's place and got involved in this will plot of his. Only to have fucking Eris stumble upon Thane, kill Thane, and to impersonate Thane. Which would... I don't know. That would mean that... the fact that Lara recognizes Eris outside of Laverna. Eris specifically outside of Laverna, to a very strong degree, opens up so many interesting avenues for how these rest of these chapters could connect. The intrigue is delivering. Like, the intrigue is very much delivering. If we didn't I'm glad I wasn't the only one who didn't 100% like how Polly's reveal was delivered, but the intrigue is back. That throws a really interesting twist on what's going to happen in the shareholders meeting. If we're just introducing this Odin's will part of it, and the fact that we maybe have both people trying to kill Odin to some degree. One last murder mystery, one last shareholder mystery, one last assassin mystery, and Locke's out here doing who knows what. Locke's out here doing who knows what. Eris spoops in, takes advantage, and just rakes in some sweet cash. Possibly sends Lara to her death, but got a girl boss. Yeah, that one left me with a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. I really enjoyed that one. Sorry for the lack of bet, but they definitely, the big gaps between the bets at the beginning and the bets now didn't really pick up the traction anymore, so I'm gonna try and avoid them if I can. Plus, it helps me being able to record more in advance without having to stop and wait for bed. So, alright. That note. Next time we will resume Mercury's path, and see just what exactly Odin has in store for Mercury and Lara. Is this actually where this Odin's will thing comes into play? Lara has definitely seen Odin's will, one way or another. As how that happened, what that means for us, needs to be seen, but high probability we will see that at some point soon. Until next time, until then, thanks for watching.